Hello, happy Thanksgiving. I hope that you're well. I have a retraction. So, you guys probably guessed it. In a recent video, I said that Evermore had investors and that the rumor was that they are Meow Wolf. It's not Meow Wolf. I was wrong. But it was for no lack of trying. I don't just say things on this channel. I usually try to verify them with multiple people if possible. And in this case, I did have multiple accounts, including some who heard it from Ken directly, that he said that it was Meow Wolf that was the investor. That's why I, at the time, felt confident in mentioning it in the video, even though the thought of it seems a little unlikely. But I was and am certain that this information was shared by Ken, and I thought, who would be more of an expert on this matter than Ken himself? But a lot of people rightly questioned the rumor, so I decided to dig a little deeper, and I reached out to Meow Wolf's media and press relations team myself. The message that I sent reads, "There have been claims lately from Evermore Park that Meow Wolf is somehow invested in or otherwise involved in improving Evermore Park. To the best of your knowledge, is the company or any individual associated with Meow Wolf investing in or providing consulting services to the park?" I sent this message at 11 p.m. on a Friday night, and they responded to me at 8 a.m. the next morning, on a Saturday when they should have been watching cartoons. Between a brief salutation and farewell, they responded with an appropriately curt, "At this time, Meow Wolf is not interested in this offer." I don't know if that implies that Evermore Park had, in fact, made such an offer to them, or if they somehow considered my message an offer, but on either side, this message, along with the other information that I had gathered since making that video, was enough for me to put that rumor to bed inside of my mind. Again, I am genuinely, actually really sorry that I said something that was untrue on this channel. That's something that I try really hard to not do. After this, I reached out to Evermore Park for a statement on the same topic, just as a little treat for myself. Silly little inside joke, because I know that most of my messages to them go unanswered. At this time, I have not heard back. I always hope for the best in people, and generally that works out really well for me. I love almost everybody I've ever met, and I feel extremely lucky for the peace that the kindness of those around me has brought to my life. The people that I know are very great, amazing people. But sometimes that leads me to be really naive and forget that there are people who are different from that. I have never spoken to Ken. I see him around all the time. If you watch my walkthrough videos, he's lurking around in every single one of them. It's like, where's Waldo? We've made eye contact, and as an individual, he's extremely open to people coming up to him and starting a conversation. I just haven't because I feel like it's weird. The closest I've ever gotten to having a conversation with him is one singular Facebook message that I sent his way, trying to ask a question for a video, but he never responded. People get mad at me for saying nice things about him, but that's just my first instinct, to assume that people are trying to do something good. I watch a lot of YouTube channels that cover theme park news, and sometimes I see them nitpicking every light bulb that goes out as an extinction level event. And I just can't live like that. It's not my vibe. It doesn't sit well with me. I do admit that I probably overcorrect, though. And especially in this case, Ken has created something that consumes all of my waking thoughts. I don't think that the parts of Evermore that fascinate me the most happened on purpose. The park was initially supposed to be a walkthrough, and the actors were going to be little more than decoration. But it was so disorganized that that fell apart, and the actors had to roll with the punches and just play to what the guests wanted. This culminated in providing an even more interactive story than was originally intended. And that Evermore is the one that I think is such a unique and special addition to this world. So I don't think that the Evermore that I love is the same one that Ken envisioned. I think it was an accident. But it certainly couldn't have happened without him. So I don't know him, but I couldn't think of a reason why he would lie about Meow Wolf being the investor. I mean, people could speculate, and they have. But I still couldn't believe that Ken would openly say this thing that could be disproven and give some unaffiliated company credit when he had a close friend that was actually doing real and tangible things to help bail him out. If someone helped me like that, you would not be able to get me to shut up about how much I appreciated it. I wouldn't lie and say that somebody else did it instead. But it seems like that may be what happened here. But anyway, moving on to the main point of the video, Evermore Park has a new CEO. Ken's official role has transitioned to CCO. He says that this allows him to work on the more creative aspects and leave the business to someone else. Stepping in as CEO is Ross McGarvey. I really wanted this video to be an interview so that you could meet him yourself. On November 8th, he posted on his LinkedIn page a public announcement that he had become the CEO of Evermore Park. 4 days later, I reached out to him through the forum on his personal website to see if he had any interest in meeting for an interview to talk about the new role. Another 4 days later, I commented on that same LinkedIn post to see if I could get any traction there. 4 days after that, the topic was brought up to him in a in-person meeting about maybe doing an interview. Between those two, I reached out to him on his public Instagram like a complete weirdo. So I really tried, gang. If anything, my failure was that I came off as way too desperate, which is accurate. Ross is the CEO of multiple companies, and I am a squalid Dickensian orphan, covered in soot, tugging at the sleeve of his coat. Also, he's really busy. For one thing, shooting for a December 8th opening of Aurora that I'm not 100% confident they're going to be able to pull off. But now, as I'm making this video, it's been over 2 weeks since the public announcement that he had become CEO, and I can't sit on it anymore. Luckily, he's already done public interviews, and there's a lot of information about him on the internet, so I can try to piece you together a picture from that. Born on December 16th, 1979, Ross grew up in Hamilton, which is just outside of Glasgow, Scotland, which means that he has an amazing Scottish accent. The last general manager of the park, Alex, was from England, and one time I asked him if he was bothered by the sometimes middling British accents that are in the park. And now I kind of wonder how Ross feels about the multiple Scottish accents that were in the park last season. Ross grew up with a spiritual mother and a gym teacher for a father. They instilled in him the values of hard work and caring about other people. As a kid growing up, he was bullied and played Dungeons and Dragons, all of the tropes, but also, even at that age, he tried starting up different businesses. He went to uni at the University of Glasgow from 2003 to 2007. That's how they say it over there, uni. That's where he got his Bachelor of Arts in Linguistics. Ross met his future wife on the internet, and in the year 2009, at the age of 29, he, like I did myself, and even in the same year, came to Utah to follow a girl that he had fallen in love with. Now a Scottish immigrant in America, he got back to his entrepreneurial roots. Ross began his career focusing on the entertainment industry, but soon fell into marketing due to what he terms a total accident. He founded Avant 8, which is listed as a... Hi, Evelyn. Can you...
Are you talking to the...
I'm talking to this computer. Okay, here, you can sit on my lap.
Give me your phone, please.
The phone's up there. It's recording me. I can't give it to you. He founded Avant 8, which is a social media, SEO, design, digital marketing, PR, and business development company. Hey, Evelyn, listen. I love you. In 2014, Ross was included in Utah Business Magazine's 40 Under 40 list, most notably for his work as CEO of Avant 8. He wrote 16 blog posts on Medium that you can read to get a deeper glimpse into his perspectives and motivations on things. He's volunteered as a member of the board of directors for multiple pediatric cancer charities. I see proof that he was on the board for the Tyler Robinson Foundation and Millie's Princess Foundation in the past, but does not seem to be currently. His net worth is listed online ranging anywhere from $500,000 to $5 million, depending on where you look. I looked at the value of his home on Zillow, and the current Zestimate is about $1.5 million. I'm also disgusted at how weird that last sentence sounds. The internet should never have been invented, and I'm ashamed of how I use it. Nowadays, Ross is the father to 2 boys with very Scottish-sounding names. He says that having kids is his greatest accomplishment, and being a dad is a big part of his identity, and that he wants nothing more than for his kids to grow up being good and kind individuals. So, as I said, I prefer to look for the positive in the world, and I think that there is a lot of positive there. I have some self-awareness, and I realize that he has characteristics and accomplishments that my terrible audio voice on YouTube could never hold a candle to, and he seems to share some values that I hold very dear to my own heart. In my opinion, if he just rested at this point and enjoyed time with his family, he will have already led an extremely successful life. But still, I will point out some imperfections later, and I hope that it's taken as constructive. But first, what is Ross's connection to Evermore? What are his previous interactions with it? I can find much less on this. He says that he's followed the park since its initial unveiling at FanX in 2014, and apparently he and Ken were already collaborating on different projects before that. The next thing I hear from him in regards to Evermore is this weird auction that took place in the middle of 2020. Most of the items auctioned were just scraps or mannequins that they didn't need anymore, but there was one thing auctioned, which was a dinner with the actress Callie who played the Hair Trigger Fire Witch. From what I can read on here, the dinner, described as distantly chaperoned, went for hundreds of dollars. And they also auctioned off this weird thing? Why? They also auctioned off some prosthetics, gloves, and masks, and one such mask is what Ross McGarvey bid on. He was the highest bid and won this thing. Maybe he still has it. After that, in the year 2021, Ross joined the management board of Evermore, and now, as we've discussed, he's accepted a new position as Chief Executive Officer at Evermore Park. So we don't know what his influence has been so far on Evermore or what it may be in the future, but we can make some assumptions based on his past patterns of behavior. I think that some people will look at this stuff and find it completely inspirational, and other people will look at it and not love what they're seeing at all. That's not for me to decide, I'm just sharing what I've observed. Ross has a passion and drive for pushing and going, especially when it comes to startups specifically. He adapts to circumstances and finds unconventional ways to overcome them. He has reached out to those around him for help getting capital, including family, and has even used his wife's credit card to get some seed money. I know that all entrepreneurs say this, but he calls himself a workaholic. He likes to get up before 5 a.m., he puts in the late nights, etc., etc. He's scrappy, and when something needs to get done, he will often learn how to do that thing himself. And the companies that he advises, he encourages them to do the same thing, have existing employees learn new skills instead of bringing in new employees that can specialize in that. Instead of hiring people directly, he sometimes reaches out to existing friends that have the specific skills that he needs at the time and offers them the opportunity to reap the benefits, a percentage of whatever is gained on the back end. Like I said, I think I mentioned a couple things in there that'll be controversial. But I think that he genuinely gains enjoyment and a sense of purpose from encouraging other companies and helping them to meet their goals and try new things and solve problems with them. I also genuinely think that he likes to get hands-on and lead by example in the way that he thinks is best and motivate others to meet their challenges. And I think that Evermore Park could see positive growth as a result of these things. But does his leadership and effort always work? No. And from what little I understand of this foreign entrepreneurial world, that's par for the course. The game seems to be to just throw enough darts that one of them hits a board, but let's take a brief stroll through the projects page on his website. Evermore we're familiar with. Zap has no link included and I can't find anything about it. Targa Supply, the website seems to be defunct and now leading to a malicious tracker, so I didn't dig into it too deeply, but it seems to be a survival/food storage company. Facebook activity stopped back in February. The Google listing says that they are temporarily closed, but it seems that a piercing and tattoo shop has moved into the location. Social disruption leads to a 404, and that term is a lot less specific and more difficult to research. The last one at the bottom is Spark, spelled with a C, and I thought this would be way easier to look up, but apparently there's at least 8 products or organizations that go by that same name with the same spelling. However, this project seems like a really cool idea, and if nothing else, shows his interest in the fantasy RPG genre. Spark seems to be a kind of card-based tabletop role-playing game. It's still in the development phase and hasn't completed anything yet. They have a Facebook page with 1 follower, and it was extremely active in posting memes and updates on how the game was going since 2001, but completely ceased any activity about a year ago. Ross has a YouTube channel, it has 1 subscriber, and the most watched video has 25 views. Not listed here is another company that he was CEO of called Nura. Nura was working on augmented reality technology. You can see a lot of references to it on the internet, but it doesn't seem to be active anymore. Even Avant 8, objectively his most successful venture, has seen mixed reviews. The newest review from 2 weeks ago mentioned that Avant 8 is currently experiencing some staffing issues. It kindly described that the company presented that it was capable of offering specific services, but was unable to deliver on them. The reviewer was extremely nice, but said that he had to move on to another company that could do what they needed. Other reviewers were less nice, saying that their services were marketed as being very capable and powerful, but they were shocked at the low quality of what was actually delivered. This includes a negative review from a former employee who alleges unethical acts, including never paying their final paycheck. But even this former employee admits that the people who work there do not believe that they're lying. They're just young and inexperienced and running and doing and believing at the speed of light. This makes me think of one thing that may impact the success of these various ventures, which is attention to detail. I think that the linguistics major has a talent for crafting stories and weaving words. You know, the business he's in, marketing. But he could benefit from trusting others who are specialists in an area. The first thing that I ever saw from him is the LinkedIn post that announced he's the CEO, and that in itself contains a typo. Beyond that, I will present only one example for your consideration, his personal website. The website looks very great and stylish at first glance, but after a cursory review, it's clearly a template for a band with very little changed. But the things that are changed confuse me. All of the items in the top navigation bar are duplicated. Of course, the first thing I wanted to click on was About Me, which leads to a 404. As I mentioned previously, almost all of the projects lead to dead pages. The bottom of this page is still just lorem ipsum. The bottom of this one seems to have some code error. In retrospect, I probably shouldn't have reached out on this platform first because he probably never even got the email. So my takeaway is that Ross, from a distance, seems like a decently stand-up guy who puts in a lot of effort. The problem, as he outlines in his most recent blog post, is that he, in his own words, sucks at balancing everything. He bounces from one project to the next, putting a lot of rapid interest and dedication into it, and moves on to the next project once that interest wanes. I think the way that his business muscles work is very quick twitch, 40-yard dash burst of speed, and not very thoughtful endurance marathon runner. What that means for us is that for the moment, we are his flavor, and we have already seen some big developments and might expect some more soon. That is very exciting to me. To play us out, I'm going to show you his Instagram story from earlier this week so that you can hear his glorious accent firsthand.
So just got done with meetings for the day. It is currently just after 12:45 in the park. The seasons are changing. We're starting to get ready for Christmas and Aurora. This is quite the adventure. Stay tuned and see what comes next. So this is actually hands down one of the coolest things for me. I remember seeing these gargoyles back in 2013 at FanX at Salt Lake Comic Con. Pretty sweet. And then over here we've got all of our tents set up for our Christmas market. You can't really see, it's kind of getting blown out. I'll see if I can get a better video for you. So December 8th we are going to have our Christmas winter market down here. Of course, Michael will be there. But actually, newsflash, it's actually going to be free entry this year. So the gates will be open. There'll be a ton of things that you can do with your family. There will be a kind of Christmas Evermorean adventure. Meet Santa Claus, ice skating, archery, and a whole bunch of other kind of fun stuff. We'll get some great vendors this year. Our alpaca is just chilling out. I think that's Jasper. Yeah, it should be a good one. You should come down, check it out.